You have energy as a human being. What is that energy that you possess? It is energy of thought. It is energy with which you can actually think. You also possess energy of feeling as a human being. This is energy that gives you emotional drive and passions that you can put into something. You have bodily energy, which is the power of your action. It's that you do things, you hold things, you create something, you do something with your body. So these powers of yours are effective. It means that these powers of yours actually have an expression into the world. When we look into the world and we see buildings and cities, then these things that are built by means of the powers that are inside the human being. The powers of mind, the powers of feeling, and the powers of body. These powers of the human being, put into the service of the greater good of everybody, could transform the world in absolutely no time. We see that because there is enough food on the planet, and by the way, there is enough wood on the planet, and there is enough everything on the planet. Nevertheless, people burn down the tropical rainforest that will be lost forever to herd some cattle for some Chinese guys who want to eat beef or so. Or for the German farmers who want to buy cheap soya. So this is not very intelligent. Many things happen actually that are not very intelligent. But why do such things happen which are not very intelligent? They happen because the power of thought, the power of feeling, of dreams, the power of action does not act in the service of greatest understanding. Apparently, this power is running amok. Yeah? This power is running around and doing very strange things. But you could think, okay, this is not really useful. So, if you look now at your own life and you look at how much of your energy, body, feeling and mind is directly or indirectly busy with the way you position your sexual attractiveness in relationship to somebody else. So how do you look like? How do you talk? Do you want to be pleasant for somebody? Or the things you do, maybe you just do them to impress other people. Or how much of your mind and of your thought that you have in relationship to other people is just busy with either directly thinking about physical pleasures, directly thinking about sex, or indirectly busy with thinking about sex with what I said, for example, how do I look like, am I sexy, am I cool, how do I dress like? How much time do you actually spend in front of the mirror every day to look good? Why do you want to look good? People of course say they want to look good for themselves. Well, this is to a certain degree true, to feel good, but why do they feel good? Well, they feel good because they're attractive. If you would give away your need for attractivity, all that energy in the morning that you spend 2 hours in front of the mirror, you could actually use reading a good book. The same is true for men. Men and women have different animals, man and woman. These days they tell us something else, but this is incorrect. They're actually different animals. And they also have different sexual behavior. Men, for example, usually invest so much energy in creating something only to impress women. For example, all these managers that are in high positions in jobs, they're only there to impress girls. This is also what you see, because when they have these positions of power, they use these positions of power usually in order to gain sexual favors. So the only reason why they're up there is in order to gain sexual favors. And then the question arises, now we have all that companies that produce all kinds of shit that nobody needs, all this plastic crap. Why do these companies exist? They exist because there are some men who actually want to have sexual favors from women. Therefore, they have to create a company in order to make money so that they can buy something for a woman or actually buy enough prostitutes for them, which many men actually do. So when a lot of things are about sex, and so the interesting thing is this: it's not everything is only about sex. It's how much human energy, how much thought. Just take that manager that works all his life, very competitive, very hard, to have a good position with a lot of money. Only so he's attractive by all these beautiful young girls. What would happen to him if he would use his mind, body and spirit in the service of something that he would think is truly meaningful? However, 95%, and I'm really saying 95%, really 95%, maybe even 96%, is busy indirectly or directly securing his sexual attractivity. So the same is true for women. So, and this poses a problem. You could say, yeah, I mean, it's very important that we procreate, and I agree. By the way, I think people do not procreate enough these days, by the way. But this is a different subject. The thing is, we invest too much. The human being is possessed, just like it is possessed by objects. It is also possessed by pleasures, and it is possessed by the sexual joy. And this is not a problem. The problem is that the power of thought, the power of feeling, and the power of action is bound. This you must understand. So like, understand for yourself, you know, I'm walking down the street. What do I want today? What is my aim for today? Why do I walk on the street? Why do I look like the way I look like? Many times it's only because you want to find someone maybe. And it's good that you want to find someone. But you see, you have energy. You see, you have power. And that power is needed. We need your power. Because right now they're chopping down the rainforest. What do you do with your power? And that's why a very elementary part of the awakening of Kriya Shakti is the withdrawal, the conscious withdrawal of that desire. It doesn't mean that you're not putting it out again in another place. The conscious withdrawal, so that the power of your life, that is a precious gift, can act in the service of growth. By the way, letting go from some kind of need doesn't mean that the need is not here. The world is sex, the world is life, the world is sleep, the world is food, the world is death. All these things exist in the world. They will never be taken away from you just because you let go of them. But nevertheless, I want to make you understand that the powers of your being, they are so precious. Focus them on something higher. Yeah? And men lose a lot of energy in their life while actually trying to be hot, and women lose a lot of energy in their life for trying to be hot. And it is wise to think about where you harvest that energy for a higher purpose. This is the reason for Brahmacharya. Simply in yoga. So that the core reason for Brahmacharya is the gathering of subtle potency. And what Patanjali means with that, subtle potency is not only physical power. I think it wrongly got interpreted as physical power in the first place. Yeah, these yogis always speak about control your semen, do not ejaculate, like Reinhard Gammenthal is very foremost of this, yeah. Speak, never ejaculate, never ejaculate. And then there's a student who came to me and told me, in my dreams, these dakinis, these female demons come to me, and then I ejaculate, and I try to fight them, but I do not succeed. So, and I'm just thinking, I don't think it's this, you know. I really believe it's more about it's about something much more practical actually, because it's the practical element of the containment of the energies that make you act in life. Yeah, really, that make you act. How many times did you go out in a pub that you really didn't want to be, and you wasted all of your evening just because you wanted to be hot eventually for someone that you didn't meet? Yeah, maybe this happened often for many people. How much waste of power, you know, you could have been at home and practiced that instrument to travel through the cosmos. You didn't. So understand this element. And of course, in a relationship, you know, with other people, you should totally cultivate your sex, just like you cultivate anything that you love, just like you cultivate food. You should cultivate sex and cultivate the physical pleasures and cultivate love, and you should all do that. And you know what's so interesting? I recently read a study that blew my head. You know, people these days, they don't have so much sex anymore. They don't have so much sex anymore, apparently, according to certain studies, because it became so arbitrary. Yeah. Like especially the dating culture that works with smartphone apps and so on made sex very frustrating for many people. And for men especially, and also for women, many men don't have sex at all, and many women don't have sex at all. And the reason is that either they feel exploited, or it's arbitrary, or, you know, they have sex but then the person finds somebody else or thinks they find somebody else. They're possessed by this idea of the new and they don't find each other. You know whose people have the most sex statistically? Yeah, married Protestant couples. Yeah? You may think, okay, people think this is the most boring thing. No, statistically, if you make it, how much sex do you have per year? It's the married couples who have the most sex. Yeah? Because apparently they have this protection, you know, and they have this happiness, and they can really start to enjoy each other and cultivate each other. It's very interesting. Yeah? So it brings me to this thought a little bit. People who want everything get nothing. In the end of the day, it's a little bit society like this. You know, if you want everything, in the end you will be left with nothing.
What about Brahmacharya masturbation? What is it?
I don't know. I think that it depends on. I think it depends on why people masturbate. You see, if the masturbation becomes a mental disease, yeah, the masturbation becomes a possession to flee into fantasies. And these fantasies are all possessive, and the fantasies become a substitute for reality, then masturbation is very bad. Yeah? You know, masturbation as a substitute for reality is bad for many different reasons. For example, masturbation certainly is very good if you just have pleasure with yourself. Okay? But if masturbation becomes something where you satisfy your self-desires that you actually aim for in your day-to-day life, but you cannot achieve in your day-to-day life, then masturbation becomes a problem, because it binds that energy with which you either should conquer your desire or make it manifest in order to figure out if you really want it. You should not run around with a desire that is basically in a limbic dream state and that is never expressed, because they exhaust you and they destroy you, because you do not know what that desire actually says about the world. You do not know who you really are. If you're constantly feeding that dream and you expand that dream. Pornography, for example, is very dangerous from that perspective, because it basically pulls. You could also say, why do people not have sex these days anymore? Maybe pornography is actually in part responsible for that, because it binds the sexual energy, and that energy that is basically that is a creative power to transform yourself inside the platform of pornography, and it cannot get out anymore. It's like, imagine you're a boy and you're masturbating to pornography that stimulates the right neurons in your brain. You're completely tuned into that. Eventually many things will happen simultaneously. First, it wrecks your character because you're constantly possessed by that stuff. Okay? It wastes your time in your life because you're just busy, so the time is not productive for other things. You start to misunderstand women because you're creating a wrong idea of eventually what they are, because they're just that picture that you see, and you are not working on yourself. Because what is the cardinal bodha? What is the cardinal bodha that brings you either successful relationship and sex as a human being, or that hinders you to have a successful relationship and sex? The cardinal bodha is one thing. It's the power of your character. It's the power of your character. In which way? Well, in many ways. First, are you actually a cool person? You know? Okay. Are you a smart person? Are you a lovely person? Do you actually care for other people? You know? Can you do the dishes if your girlfriend wants you to do the dishes? Do you actually have something to say, or are you a stupid asshole? Are you arrogant, or are you self-reflected? Are you brave? Are you brave enough to go to me in the pub and tell me, hey, I really like you, you know, I really want you to give my phone number, but you see, first, can I invite you for a glass of red wine? Do you like red wine? If not, we can also have white wine, of course. Yeah? Are you brave enough that that person tells you, no, sorry, I have a boyfriend, and by the way, you are totally weird, fuck off? Are you brave enough to actually face that? Well, so the problem is now with pornography, it feeds into all these traits of yourself that do not bring about these great virtues of your character. So it frees you from needing to do the dishes, it frees you from being a kind person, it frees you from being brave enough to talk to me in the pub. It frees you from facing your fears, it frees you from working on your character, and therefore all these things you will not become. You will be lazy, stupid, not do the dishes, not be brave, be an idiot. Therefore, before you watch pornography, stand up, go in the pub and talk to someone. And maybe that person actually fulfills your sexual dream. Then you don't need to have the dream anymore. But if you don't manage that, don't watch pornography, because that pornography will bind it. So, and this is something important to understand. Somebody's coming for the lunch class that I'm not holding. So, but the thing is, so do you understand this, the principle? I think the principle must be understood. How you apply the principle. I'm not saying how, in this case, also pornography is bad in any way. I'm not saying this. I don't know, yeah? But nevertheless, I think that is true. So let's contemplate that and take actions from that, the way we understand.